In this Outer Worlds build guide, I'm going to be covering the Lone Ranger, which is a build that focuses on blowing away your enemies from point-blank range with shotguns while making use of the dialogue skill group extensively. There are several ways you can make an effective build in the Outer Worlds, and the Lone Ranger is one of them. If you've been looking for a Lone Ranger build, this guide is for you. The Lone Ranger uses a combination of N-ray damage and dialogue combat skills to dispatch groups of enemies with ease. Enemies will suffer a constant barrage of disabling effects while taking damage over time from N-ray, and these effects can spread to others as well. They also have a large amount of skill points to spend since they don't need to use many on their primary weapon type. This is because N-ray damage can bypass armor, making the need to max out long guns redundant. The best place to begin with any build is attributes because these cannot be respec'd, so this decision is permanent. When making a shotgun build, you want to focus on attributes that are going to increase your damage with each shot, and the best way to do that is to maximize intelligence and perception. Intelligence will increase your critical damage by 35% at max, and perception will increase your head spot and weak spot damage. You're going to be doing a lot of critical hits with a shotgun since it fires multiple projectiles, and you want each hit to hit as hard as it can. Additionally, you'll be able to aim for the head or weak spot easily since you'll be point blank. There are several skills that work well for a shotgun build that uses N-ray damage, and those are Long Gun, Science, Persuade, and Medical. Intimidate and Lie are also not bad. Long Gun 60 will increase your critical damage and headshot weak spot damage as well as increase your critical chance. Science 100 will increase your N-ray damage by 25% and make it much cheaper to tinker your shotguns and armor. Persuade 100 makes it so that you can make humans cower quite readily, which is great because then they cower in the N-ray damage over time and you gain increased armor while they do. Intimidate 60 and Lie 60 are good for status effects on auto mechanicals and creatures. Medical 60 increases the duration of negative status effects by 50%, which is perfect for this build. Perks are not super important when it comes to builds in the Outer Worlds, but there are some that are more effective than others for the Lone Ranger build. In this section, we'll take a look at which those are and how they help you get the most per shot damage without getting yourself killed. Lone Wolf. This is an amazing perk if you're really going for pure damage, and we are with this build, so we take this first. Quicken the Dead. This perk increases the speed at which your tactical time dilation meter recharges by 50%. More tactical time dilation meter equals more damage, so this is a very good perk. Cheetah. You will need this to close the distance to your targets quickly with this build, and this perk ensures that you can. Pack Mule. If you're playing alone, you'll need to increase your carry weight, and this is a good place to start. Harvester. This perk is pretty much a must because you'll get hit when running into enemies, and this will keep your health up. The Reaper. This perk gives you 25% of your tactical time dilation meter when you get a kill. You need to get this back quickly in order to help get kills again quickly. Scanner. This perk increases your headshot weak spot damage while using tactical time dilation, which makes a good case to use tactical time dilation as often as possible. Use this when aiming for the head. Soliloquy. This perk is a good way to gain plus 10 to dialogue skills when not using companions, which we won't be using, so take this one. Confidence. This perk grants you an automatic critical hit on your next shot after killing an enemy. This usually leads to a chain of one-shot kills and is a must-have perk for this build. Revenge. Because you'll be using N-ray damage, you have a tendency to get some of it on you, which will trigger an extra 20% damage. Solo Sneaker. This perk is another one to use because of no companions. It lowers the detection radius of enemies, making you harder to find, allowing you to run into the first enemy virtually unnoticed. Armor Master. Particularly important because you won't have companions, so you need all the armor bonuses you can get. Use this with Chimera for an extra plus 10 to dialogue skills, or plus 20 in total. There are a lot of good perks here for playing solo that you can take advantage of, and I've included them above. The biggest drawback of not having companions is the lack of skill points they give you, and the lack of carry weight. Luckily, there are perks for both of these things, so it's not as bad as it could be. We're going to be using shotguns for this build, and luckily there is one on the ship near the workbench at the very beginning of the game. Grab it, repair it, and begin shooting things immediately. There are really only a couple shotguns in the game, so you just want to use the one that has the highest per shot damage, not DPS. You want to be able to kill things in the least shots possible, ideally one. N-ray mods are not cheap, so you won't be able to swap weapons often, so be sure to tinker up your shotgun as often as you can afford. Take Science up to 40 early to reduce the cost by 50%, making it much cheaper. Later on, you'll want to get this to 100 to make it 90% cheaper. Mod your weapon with Fun Times Barrel for increased critical damage. Armor-wise, you want the heaviest you can find to protect yourself when you run in, or until you get Chimera in Byzantium during the Make Spacesuit Won't Travel quest. This is what you'll use later because it increases dialogue skills by plus 10, which becomes plus 20 with Armor Master. It is also light and has excellent armor. You can use the Sugar Ops helmet for increased N-ray damage by plus 10% as well. Final tips. New shotguns are few and far between, so be prepared to tinker them up and level often, and you should plan to save most of your bits for that and mag to ray upgrades. Try to avoid spending much on your armor and just upgrade it with new you find if you can get away with it. If you cower an enemy with your first shot, move to another target while they remain so. If the N-ray damage over time is on them, they should die while it persists, allowing you to focus on other targets while boosting your armor. This will allow you to heal when you get hit and not waste Harvester if you're already topped off. It's like banking an easy heal for later. The key to this build is to get the first kill to trigger Confidence, which usually ends in a chain of one-shot kills. The automatic critical hit applies to all projectiles fired from the shotgun, so this works to our advantage, particularly with all the critical damage boosts. Lastly, shotguns have extremely short range, so make sure you get up close and personal. You really can't get too close for your shot unless you're getting lit up. Consider shooting enemies in the chest and tactical time dilation if this is the case, and you know you can't quite get the kill in one headshot. This will knock them down, buying you some time to unload or focus on a new target while they lay in the N-ray damage. Stay tuned for more Outer Worlds coverage, and be sure to check out our Getting Started, Character Creation, Best Weapon, and Build Guides if you're looking for more content, and check out our review and Supernova Guide if you'd like to know our thoughts on the game.